Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where we are back with another live stream. But today, we're doing something a little bit different. We have spent the past 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks talking about this new how Manchester United should set up sort of series that we've been doing. Talking about Ruben Amorim and different structures and different ideas that he could use with the new United team. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. Although, in a way, we're talking about Manchester United, we're talking about tactics, so it's still going to be the same sort of theme. What we're going to do today is go through the Manchester United team and actually just figure out how good we think we are. Because the next stream, which will be on Tuesday next week, will be a prediction stream, looking ahead to next season and what we think United can achieve. Before we do that, before we figure out what United can achieve, we need to figure out actually how good we think the squad is. Of course, Amorim has had more time with the squad now. Pre-season has been very big for him. We've still got one more game, but he's had an excellent opportunity to finally work with the players and work on the details of his tactical system. We also know that we brought new players into the club. Cunha and Mbumo already won their first trophy at the club. Just saying. Biggest trophy in the world, perhaps. These two, how are they going to fit in and how do they change the expectations for next season? This fella. We got the news yesterday from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano that Benjamin Sesko is going to be joining Manchester United. He should be doing his medical this morning before being unveiled tomorrow. You know, we've got to talk about that. A brand new number 9 at Manchester United. I think it's always exciting. You can talk about midfielders when they sign for the club and how they're going to transform you and wingers and things like that as well. I don't think you can quite beat a new striker at the football club, especially the feeling of a new striker scoring in their first game. If we get that with Sesko, that would be amazing. But there's something about that feeling that you can't beat. And of course, we need to be cheeky and talk about this man at some point because we couldn't, could we? Could we? I'll tell you, if we could, then the expectations change. And again, that stream on Tuesday, looking at predictions ahead to the season, could be very, very different. They could be very, very different. He changes the conversations that we have about Manchester United. But before we get into any of that, I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Basically, how's life? How's life? How are you feeling in your personal life? How about Manchester United as well, though? What do you think right now of United? It's been a weirdly positive week. Weirdly positive. Considering the result last weekend and the performance wasn't actually great in the last preseason game, it's been a really positive week. We're signing Sesko, a little bit expensive, I still feel. Cheaper than I thought it was going to be, though. But still exciting, like I said, when you sign such a hot prospect, one of the most highly rated young strikers on the planet. We've seen already the players that we've signed this summer. We have improved in pre-season. There's a bit of optimism, isn't there? There's a bit of optimism about this football club. Now, we've got to be careful, not to get too excited, not to get too carried away, but we've got to be excited a little bit, right? If you can't have hope now, when do you get it as a football fan, right? So people will say, don't get your hopes up. I've changed my mind. Screw it. Get your hopes up. It's exciting to talk about United in a positive manner for a change. If you want to keep talking about Manchester United, if you love doing it, check out the link at the top of the chat that I have just pinned. There is a message from David. David, thank you very much. With a link to our Discord server. Completely free to join. It's about 650 people, I think, waffling about football. And mainly United, but also other teams. Transfer news, United on match days. A lot of random waffle, which I'm not sure why we talk about it, but we do. There's a gaming channel. There's FPL, which I've launched this morning. There's loads to talk about. So if you do want to keep talking about football, the Discord, generally speaking, is a pretty good place to be because very, very chill. So go check it out. I also need to say thank you to David for the gifted membership in the chat as well, which has gone to Animation Core. Is Animation in... Are you in the chat right now? You are. You are now a channel member. Thanks to David. David, thank you very much as always. If you guys don't know, David is always kicking off the stream with a gifted membership just because he's an absolute legend. An absolute legend. Yeah, Steve, you're not wrong. The random waffle is elite, but it's certainly random. But yeah, if you do wish to join the Discord server, the link is in the chat. Make sure you check it out. How are we feeling then? Manchester United. The last game, not as good as the previous ones. The performance wasn't quite as good. It didn't feel quite as smooth. It felt a little bit more stop-start. Obviously, we had the Brian Mbumo debut, who he's obviously not sharp, right? He's obviously not fully fit yet. But I think even in that rusty performance, we saw what he can bring to the team. We saw some of the first-time passing quality. And this is what we were talking about last season. We had the likes of Garnacho, who obviously a good footballer, and I think he's going to do very well for himself in his career. But the likes of Mbumo and Cunha, they are just a different level of footballer. They're of course at different stages in their career, so they should be a different level, but they really are. Like they really are. You see certain things that Mbeumo and Cunha do, and you just think, wow, we probably couldn't do that last season. Like our players couldn't do that last year. We weren't that crisp. We weren't that smooth. And I think that's why I'm excited. We've sort of like polished off the front line a little bit. It just looks nicer. It looks sharper. It looks more ready to actually hurt the Premier League. It feels like we're talking less about potential and more about now proven quality. But saying that, in that front line, we've got Sesko, we've got Dorgu, and we've got Ahmad, who are all still incredibly young. And, you know, the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo aren't exactly old players either. I feel like the age profiling of this United team has got quite a nice balance to it now. We've got that experience in the core with at least, or with the goalkeeper, with at least one of the centre-backs. Two of the midfielders are now experienced, two of the 10s. It's nice to see, but then we have got that sprinkling of young players in the team. We've got some good squad depth with the youngsters as well. I think it's quite a fun place at the moment, the Manchester United team. Obviously, it still needs work. We still need more. Hopefully, Baleba. Can we get Baleba? I don't. Can we get Baleba? We can try and get Baleba. Please do try. Like, if we all chip in £3 or something, surely we can afford him, right? Surely we can afford him. It's got to be worth a go. It's got to be worth a go. We also need to talk about the Manchester United squad depth. By the way, this is a new tactics board that we're using. There will be a link in the description. Let me know if you like it. We've got two we use at the moment. We can kind of switch between the two. Squad depth at United is not looking too bad right now. And obviously, we've got players that can play multiple positions. So we've only got Mbeumo here currently, but we know that Ahmad can go in there as well. We know that Xerxes can play both sides, or he could play in the 10 position. Mount can play anywhere. There is some serious depth here. We've got ourselves a super chat in the chat from Anonymous with the $14. Thank you very, very much, my friend. That is very kind of you. Guys, you know what to do. You beat me to it, to be fair. Anytime you see a super chat or anything like that in the chat, fill it with love hearts, W's, flames. Say thank you, because it's support like that which keeps the channel going. So, Anonymous, thank you very much, my friend. That is very, very kind of you. Really kind, actually. Boom, boom. Still outside top 4 without Baleba. Yeah. Probably in terms of where we will finish. But the conversation that I've been having recently is I think what we're targeting should be a little bit higher. So, yeah, we may only finish 5th, for example, but I think we can target higher, especially with Baleba playing once a week. And again, that's something that we need to point out today. Actually, just how good this squad is. It's really, really good. I'm new. I like your channel. Well, thank you very much, Anonymous. Thank you very much for the support, and welcome to the community. I hope you enjoy it. I hope everyone treats you well in the chat. I'm sure they will. And yeah, welcome. Yeah, the new tax board is good. It's James Lawrence Olcott made it. There's a link in the description. It's very good. We can stick with this one, or we can use the old one. I don't mind, but I'd like some feedback. It would be good. But yes, if we just look at the depth here for a second, there is some serious quality. And like I said, we've got so many versatile players as well. Have I got the right thing on screen for you guys? I have. Let me just check. Yep. There's a lot of versatility. I feel like Dorgu, wing-back, can play both sides of the pitch. I think Luke Shaw could play wing-back if he absolutely had to, but is probably more of a centre-back. We've got someone like Mazraoui who can play centre-back, or he can play wing-back both sides. We've got Yoro who can do all 3 positions across the back. Bruno who can play either midfield spot, either 10 spot. He can probably play up front as well. Kobe can play any of those 4 spots as well. Xerxes versatile, Mount incredibly versatile. Cunha can probably play anywhere across the front line, and Mbeumo can as well. Dalot can play about 100 different positions in this system. Ahmad's got that flexibility. The squad's in a good place. We just need a little bit more in midfield, I think. I think we need a little bit more in midfield just here. Casemiro and Ugarte, good footballers. But are they great footballers right now? Casemiro once was, but isn't anymore. You know, he's past his best, and I think that's fair to say. Ugarte, a good footballer still. Definitely got a little bit of potential in him as well. Hopefully in time will develop and become better. But right now, I'm not sure that he is what we need in the starting 11. Partly in terms of quality, but also in terms of, you know, complementing the midfield. That's something that we've spoken about a lot. It's difficult to match this United midfield and get a pair that we really, really like. Baleba changes it. But Baleba would change it because, you know, I think Baleba is one of those footballers who makes those around him look good. I said this about, I think I said it, about Elliot Anderson in the summer. He's one of those footballers where you don't necessarily call him a 6, an 8, or a 10. You call him a central midfielder because he just does everything that you want a midfielder to do. So you can move him, you can mold him into different positions and different roles. And they just raise the level. You know, physically very good players that help out their teammates, technically very secure on the ball, adventurous players as well. Like, we almost don't have to put them into one position. Just good footballer. That's the category they fall into. Good, great, excellent footballer, whatever you want to say. The sort of player that Manchester United need. Because I think we have felt at times that it's a little bit difficult to figure out the profile that we need in midfield. You know, because it changes depending on who the partner is. Is it Kobe starting? Is it Bruno? Is it Ugarte? That changes the picture, right? You know, each of those needs a different partner. Someone like Belabor will make everyone look better. So, if we can get him. Please get him. Please get him. Anyway, I want to move the conversation to something that our friend Steve... By the way, we've got to give a shout out to Steve. He's one of the mods in the chat. You'll see him down there. Shout out all the mods. They carry me. they really do carry me. But Steve contributes a lot of ideas to these streams. And something that he's asked about recently is the wide diamonds. And I think it could be fun to talk about the dynamics we've got going on. Because we know we've added to the squad this summer. You know, we know that Cunha and Mbeumo completely changed the picture in terms of what they can do in these areas here. But it isn't just about them. It is about the synergies they have around each other, the players that are in close proximity. And I think if we look at a four like this, for example, we look at Dorgu, we look at Lisandro Martinez, we look at Bruno, we look at Cunha. That's some serious quality and quite a mixture of profiles as well. Still probably lacking that proper winger, you know, that proper dribbly boy who's going to take people on, you know, all day long. Cunha's a very good ball carrier, but not so much a dribbling player. But I think this diamond is very, very nice. I think it's very nice. The right-hand side, though, is also an interesting one, because if you line the two of them up next to each other, the left diamond compared to the right diamond, they're really quite different to each other. You know, Ahmad and Dorgu are not the same profile of player. And Mbeumo and Cunha are also quite different to each other. So it is interesting how these little things are lining up. And I think that obviously also changes the role of the midfielder as well. I've spoken personally about the idea of moving Bruno Fernandes to the right-sided midfield position. But when you look at it in this way, when you look at it as more of a diamond, maybe the position is better on the left. Maybe this right-sided one, Ugarte here, or potentially a new signing, Belabor perhaps. I think we do need that extra security, because we know that Ahmad's going to go forward from wing-back, because he's not a traditional wing-back. We know that Mbeumo is going to push forward as well. And even Yoro likes to venture forward. You can see how this shape is changing as we do that, right? You can see how these guys are moving into different positions. And actually, the space that we have to be aware of opening up, you know, this position here, it is something that we have to look at. And like I said, on the other side, it's very different. On the other side, we've got a very different picture. We've got Bruno Fernandes, who can explore a little bit more, perhaps, because he's got Dorgu behind him, who is more of a defender, despite his forward runs. But also Lisandro Martinez, or Luke Shaw, or Aidan Heaven, who don't tend to be quite as adventurous. So we often talk about the 3-4-3 in quite a... What's the term here? What am I trying to say? What's the best way to word this? We often talk about the 3-4-3 being this sort of like big predictable thing that is quite obvious what we're going to do. But actually, I think the two different sides operate very, very differently. I think they're incredibly different. Yoro has a big job this season with Ahmad and Mbeumo. Well, yeah, 100%. 100%. And we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful with that, because he's a young player who's got the athleticism and everything we need, but we don't want to burn him out. You know, we can't spend all day long giving him these massive spaces to deal with, because that's not going to be good for his body. It can't be good for him as an individual to constantly have to cover for these two. This is why I do wonder, you know, if Belabor was to sign, or whether it's Ugarte, or whether it's Casemiro. I think they might have to play on this right side to balance out the diamond. I think that's something that we need. What are your guys' feelings on these two diamonds? Because I think they're really important. I think they're really important to help us, because I think what we can do with these is outnumber the opposition. I think that's something that we can do. Let me just grab some opposition players into here. There we go. Let's do it like that. Let's just grab those guys in there. I think what we can do with these wide diamonds is create those overloads in these wider positions, and I think that's something that we need. We know that Amarim puts quite a lot of value on overloading the opposition, and I think we can see naturally these four allow us to do that. Is there a question of becoming too reliant on it? Perhaps at times last season, a bit too reliant on having 4 players versus 3. Not necessarily being able to match the opposition, but always having to overload them. Not sure. I think in pre-season we've become slightly less predictable, which is good. I think we've added an element of central progression, which has helped. But I'm really interested to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think Mount's role will be this season? I think he'll be a squad player. I don't think he's likely to be a starter for United, unless he plays like he has in pre-season. I think if he has another good game tomorrow, we've probably got to do a video on him because he's been bright. He's contributing a lot to the team. Defensively, we all know the intensity, the work rate, the intelligence. But I think on the ball, he's quite an underappreciated player. So I don't think he's going to be a regular starter. We've spent so much on Cunha, I think it'll be hard to displace him from the team. But Mount as a squad player, I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? We're talking about depth a moment ago. Can we go back and find our depth or not? We spoke about depth a moment ago. That sort of depth with Mount as a squad player is a joke. We've got Mount third choice here. Perhaps he would be ahead of Xerxes. But that's an absolute joke having that level of depth in the team. It's insane. And that's what I'm talking about, the squad being in a better place. I don't remember our last transfer window that was this exciting. Trying to think. The Ronaldo one was exciting purely because of it being Ronaldo. I don't know that we ever felt that it was quite right, but it was exciting regardless. But yeah, this, if we get Baleba, it's a really good window. Really, really good window. Blender coming in with the hot take, which I like. Why should we not put Casemiro into centre-back? I'm assuming you mean the middle centre-back. Where's the message gone? There it is. He can head it. He's got long passing. We'll come into the midfield in the build-up. And in that position, you do not have to run. You can see Maguire fitting in that role. Yeah, I think it's a shout. I think it's something that we could potentially do. I think Baleba also kind of comes into that as well. We've seen Baleba play as a centre-back before. Not massively, but for a couple of games here and there. Is he also the sort of player that could come into that sort of role and not impact the midfield too as well? Potentially. Sadly, it may take a while until Licha returns to form. Yeah, Shore or Heaven would be the next one. That's the question. Oh my... Guys, have you seen who's in the chat? In the chat right now, we have a legend. And I mean, like an OG of the live streams. Here from the very start. We've got Ali in the chat with a $10 donation. And this man's a legend. A legend of the channel. He said, "Good morning, family. 3:15 a.m. in Seattle, USA. And finally able to catch the best AJ live." Well, very good morning to you. Or good night. Whatever way you see it. Missed you all. I'm so excited for the season ahead. How you all doing? Also, how come only 60 likes? Well, that's the first thing we need to pick up on. How come only 60 likes? What's going on there? Ali, thank you very much for pointing that out. This man is a legend, by the way, guys. Absolute legend. Thank you very much for the super chat. How are we all doing? Personally, I'm pretty good. I'm rather tired because I've done 4 all-nighters in the past 10 days. And when I do an all-nighter, I don't then go to bed. I then just stay up. So, like, for Baleba, trying to work out my days here. I woke up Wednesday morning, started working at about 8 a.m, and then went to bed Thursday night. So I'm tired. There's been a lot of work going into the channel recently to try and make progress. But, Ali, if you check the subscribers on the channel, it's been worth it. The support recently, there's a lot of new people in the community. The support recently has been just immense. It's actually quite amazing to see. And yeah, thank you very much to you, because like I said, you've been here literally from the start. And yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm sure a lot of the chat will recognize you as well. Hot take: gaps in midfield have more to do with the defender's inability to push up and be confident 1v1 more than the midfielders. Ooh, do I agree? Oh, that's a tricky question. That's a tricky one. I don't know if they are more of an issue, but they are certainly also an issue, if you know what I mean. It's not just the midfielders, it is definitely the defenders as well. And I think what we've got is still, I think there's a lot of indecisiveness in the squad. I think players are at times fearful of committing to a decision. And some of that, I think, is because of flaws in the system. The system is difficult to adapt to. We said this last week. You could sign 3 of the perfect centre-backs and the 2 perfect central midfielders, but it's still difficult. It would still be very difficult to execute this properly. So it is a difficult system to perform. But yeah, probably the mentality, the habits, the instincts of the centre-backs play into it. We know that when we see a Euro, for example, in the back line, it's quite different to seeing Maguire in the back 3 in terms of the aggression, the stepping up, the being aggressive. So yeah, I definitely think it's a point that we have to look at. Are we on our way to the best left foot 11 of all time? What year was it? Was it? It weren't. It's not obviously not the season just finished. I think it's the one before that under Erik ten Hag, where you guys that have been here for a little while now will remember the streams. You will remember the streams every single Friday and midweek games as well. We would do a tactical preview, would look ahead to the weekend, and we would try and make a Manchester United team. And like literally every player was right-footed. Because I think Luke Shaw was injured at the time, so I can't think who was playing left-back at the time. Would that have been Dalot? Was it Dalot and Wan-Bissaka as the fullbacks at one point, or something like that? But Lisandro Martinez was also out at one point. Like the whole team was right-footed, and it's something that we banged on about every single bloody week. Finally, it looks like it's being addressed. Whether it's literal or not, we know we've got a lot of other left-footed centre-backs. We've got Dorgu on the left, we've got Mbumo, we've got Ahmad, maybe a central midfielder if we get Baleba. We like it. We've not got... Let me try that again. I tried to speak that so fast. We've got another gifted membership in the chat. Thank you very much, Kumaran. Thank you very much, my friend. It's very kind of you. It has gone to the silver server. Thank you for the gifted membership. That is super kind of you. And guys, thank you very much for the love hearts to point that out to me, because if not, I nearly did miss it. So thank you very much for the gifted membership for Baleba. Here we go soon. Please. 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 Are we going to sell Garnacho to Chelsea? Pure profit. Put it towards Baleba. Is that the plan? Possibly. Luke Shaw is always injured? Yeah, I guess when I say Shaw was injured at the time, it doesn't really narrow it down, does it? Because it's happened a lot. It's happened a lot. That boy's always injured. That boy is always injured. We've got another super chat in the chat. You guys are on form this morning. Thank you very much, Adele, for the super chat. Very kind of you. Hey, AJ, hope you're well. Just joined the stream. Remember, I asked before Sesko if we signed a solid striker, midfielder, and a goalkeeper, how long until we're a proper club? Curious to hear your take on how we look and will perform. Well, thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. Was this? Yeah, was that last week or was it the week before? I remember having a conversation. I think we're getting there. I think we're really getting there. I think the squad's looking healthy. Let me go back to it. Where is it? Let me go back to the squad depth, and it just takes a second because my PC's dying. There's some serious squad depth there now. Obviously, someone like Højlund might now go out now with Sesko coming in. But, you know, if we can get Baleba in midfield, like you're speaking about, if we get a better goalkeeper, it's a healthy squad. And I think what's so great is that this season we don't have Europe. And I think that is going to be a blessing for us. It's annoying. You know, we like watching United, so having less games is going to be sad. But for the squad, it will be good. You know, having that extra rest, that extra training time, for me, that gives us an advantage over the rest of the league. You know, Liverpool in Europe, City in Europe, Arsenal in Europe, Newcastle, Chelsea, Spurs, all of them in Europe. We've got an advantage physically playing less football. Like, it's big for us. For recovery, for training time, it's huge. I think we're in a good place. If we could get that Baleba signing, I don't know if we can, but if we could get that Baleba signing, I think it's a game changer. I really, really do. And, you know, I want to have some quite bold conversations about where United can finish this season if we get Baleba. I said last week in a stream, I think I gave us a 3% chance of... I gave us a 3% chance of winning the Premier League. And people laughed at me a little bit. That might change. We might have to go 10%. 10's crazy. 10's crazy. 7% chance if we get Baleba. think we're in a good place. We've also got Steve Brooks in the chat with 10 gifted memberships. You guys are in an incredibly generous mood this morning. Thank you very much. What an absolute legend. You guys are quality. Thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate it. AJ, my friend, find an alternative to Belabor. Challenge accepted. I will give it a good go. I can't tell you right now, but give me some time and I shall have a look. Opta said 0.3%. Come on. Who do we believe? Opta or me? Okay. Come on. We're winning the league. We're probably not. Let's be realistic. But we can dream. We can dream. The GoFundMe is on for Belabor. It needs to be. It needs to be. Wingbacks are still a major issue. We should take a gamble with a free like Lamptey. Still think he's amazing, and it didn't help his position disappeared. Yeah, he's had a lot of injury problems. He was linked with some big moves at one point, weren't he? Earlier in his career, he's obviously a good player. Let's have that wingback conversation. Let's move over to it. Is it this one? No, that's the white diamonds. The wingback and inside forward dynamic. Before we do that, we've got another super chat because you guys are just going mental this morning. Adele, thank you very much again. The tactical discipline of players. Hey, Bruno. And the stupid loss of possession over 5-yard passes will still be a problem. Also, what about Hjulman? I think Hjulman's probably going to cost a little bit too much. I think he would... Well, I say that, we're going after Belabor. I think if Amorim has labelled Belabor as his favourite or his ideal, his sort of perfect profile, I think Hjulman... I think that probably makes Hjulman unlikely. He's not quite as intense. If we were going for that slower, sort of intelligent player, Hjulman might have made more sense. But Belabor suggests to me that we really do want the intensity. But yeah, the tactical discipline is a concern. I think Bruno's got to improve in that sense. To give him credit, I think he has already. I think he's better now than he was 12 months ago. I think Ten Hag helped him with tactical discipline, and I think Amorim has as well. But he can still improve further. And in terms of the stupid losses of possession, yes, still a massive problem. It is less of a problem though when you get better footballers. You know, Cunha won't give it away as much as Rashford, for example, perhaps, or Mbuma may not give the ball away as much as Garnacho. That helps. Belabor in midfield wouldn't give the ball away as much, you would think. I think also the system, the tactics can be a little bit smoother to help the players. You know, sometimes you find yourself on the ball, and if you haven't got an option, you almost can't blame the player for losing the ball if you haven't got an option. So I think again, tactically, we can do work that helps. I think we can do that. Corey, good morning, my friend. How are you? With Onana, maybe 10th place is our priority. Well, I guess the plan should be Onana doesn't have to do as much work. You know, if we're better at keeping the ball, we're better at attacking, we're better at pressing, we're better in our mid-block, we won't face as many shots. So Onana can't sabotage us as much. Should that be the plan? You know what? That should be a thing. Fans donating like £5 each. Imagine how big United fan base is all around the world. We can definitely sign Belabor. Yeah, we're a huge fan base. If we all gave 50p, it would go a long way to him. Alongside our 3 hitmen, Bruno will no doubt add to the tally. Well, what we're going to do in the next stream on Tuesday is some predictions. And the predictions will involve, you know, where we're going to finish in the league, who's going to be our top goal scorer, who's going to be our player of the season, surprise of the season, the young star you're looking forward to watching, perhaps an academy player. But also, we will go through the sort of the danger players, if you like, at United and try and predict how many goals they're going to score. I've done a couple of polls on the channel to get a rough idea. But I think what we do see now is that goals can come from across the pitch a little bit more. I said last week, no, it's in a video this week, wasn't it? Bruno got 8 goals in the Premier League last season, and that was the most of anyone in the United squad. Not really enough. And I guess 8 can be enough if you've got 6 players on 8. But we had like Bruno and Ahmad on 8? Something like that, and no one else. Like, there should be more of a spread of goals this year, but also, so it's more goals and then spread out nicer. So Cunha should get a good amount. Sesko should get a good amount. And Mbumo. Ahmad is the one I would like to challenge to make sure he's chipping in with those goals. Bruno always, partly from set pieces, penalties and things like that. They can chip in. I'd like to challenge Dorgu as well. I think if he's going to be playing such an advanced position, yeah, he's a fullback by trade, right? That's sort of his profile as a player. But if we are going to position him high, then the conversation has to change. If he's going to play in that zone, He's got to contribute with goals and assists. So I think I would like to ask him to do it as well. Other players looking through the squad, Xerxes needs more than last season. Hoyland, if he stays, of course. Kobe Mainu will always chip in with a few. Mason Mount can get a few. Hopefully we see more goals. Of course, the system has to be a big part of that as well. My man, you're in here with another super chat. That is so kind of you, saying this one is purely for support. Love the content and the community. Thank you so much. Guys, make sure to say thank you to Adele, because it is that sort of behavior, is that sort of support which keeps the channel going. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. What do you think about Amadou Onana from Aston Villa at United? Would he fit the team? He would fit the team. We should have signed him 12 months ago. I don't think he's gettable now, with Villa seemingly fixing some of their financial problems, demanding so much for Ollie Watkins. I would imagine they would demand a lot for a player they signed last summer. He was my number one priority last year in midfield. We didn't get him, so we just kind of have to deal with that. I've also lost Ahmad behind my mic. There he is. What do you guys think of these wide dynamics? How are they going to work, and do they give us enough next season? This season? Should we call it this season at this point? It's so close. It's basically this season, isn't it? What do you think of these? Because last season we had a problem that we just didn't have enough wingers, / kind of any. You know, we had Garnacho, but he was out of the team at one point. We obviously let Rashford go. No Sancho, was the ever a winger anyway. Anthony was let go. There were times where the only winger was Ahmad or Garnacho. Like, we only saw one of them on the pitch. You know, it might be Garnacho left 10. Then he'd miss a game and Ahmad would come in at wing back. We rarely saw multiple wingers. Weirdly, despite the players we've signed, we still kind of are lacking them a little bit, I think. Because Cunha I wouldn't call a winger. Still, you know, obviously a great player. Very excited to have Cunha at the club. But I still don't think he's a winger. You know, he's not that sort of like small, nippy player who's going to skin fullbacks all day. He's more of a ball carrier who wants to play in the half space. These two are more wingers, Ahmad and Mbumo. But weirdly, our two wingers are now on the same side of the pitch. How is that going to work? This was that sort of question that I was asking last week. What's the dynamic going to be there? I think they can work. I think it's going to take time. In transition, though, I think we'll be scary. I think we're going to be horrifying for opposition teams. I am of the belief that front line, with Bruno supporting, they can beat any team in world football. They can. Because there is too much quality there. We've seen for years now that Bruno Fernandes is a game breaker. And when we say game breaker, we mean those players that break a football match. So it might be tense, it might be 0-0, 1-1, tactically very even, both teams cancelling each other out. Bruno Fernandes is your game breaker, your player who can do something out of literally nothing. We've now got more of those. Cunha's a game breaker, Sesko's a game breaker, and Mbumo's a game breaker. You know, we've got more of them than Arsenal have, which is weird to say, because I think Arsenal, we've got one of the best squads in the league. I'm actually going to do a video on Arsenal on the second channel next week. So if you want to check out the second channel, I don't have a link. Search AJ Talks Tactics if you want to check out the second channel. I should really have sorted a link for that. But yeah, that will be coming next week. But Arsenal, the problem that they've had is a lack of game breakers, right? Bukayo Saka is one. Odegaard's a great player, but not a game breaker. Declan Rice is a great player, not a game breaker. Havertz wasn't. Martinelli wasn't. Gyökeres can be for them, but they still don't have tons of them. United have more. Like, that front line can score against anyone. Even when tactically it's a little bit messy. They've got enough individual quality that they can hurt literally anyone. Manu, I was going to say good morning to you until you dropped that. Get out of here, man. Anyway, yeah, let's go back to this right-hand side. What do we think? We don't need just winger profiles. The 10s are supposed to be all-rounders. Wingers, midfielders, second strikers, and playmakers. So the setup is fine, in my opinion. The only reason I always make a comment about wingers is because they are people that can dribble 1 versus 1 and beat anyone. I think we still lack that a little bit. Like a little bit. Down this side at times. You know, when the opposition are really deep with lots of men behind the ball, Cunha can make magic happen. But I don't know that he's like a player to go on like a mazy dribbly run. He might power past people. Great, love it. But he's not like a mazy dribbler. you know, we saw the footwork from Ahmad the other day. Was it the Everton game or was it the one before? But we saw some really mazy dribbling. Like he just nips through plays. He's so agile. He drifts through. He glides through. He's great to watch when he's in full flow. We lack it a little bit on the other side, which might be a problem at times. That might be a concern. I just want to hear what you guys think, because obviously we're all being very positive right now, but we also need to manage expectations as well. If we're doing a true assessment, yes, let's highlight what we're good at, but also where we might have problems as well. We have to do both sides of the coin, unfortunately. Really, I thought it's just because they were too rigid in possession. That is also an issue for Arsenal as well. I think they sort of go hand in hand as well. Yo, AJ, how are you doing? When is the Benfica video coming out? Good morning, Zhao. Hope you're well, my friend. Like I said, I might do a Benfica video or a Benfica discussion with a Champions League draw. I might do it then. I might do on the second channel sort of like a sweeping Champions League coverage of what I think is going to happen, and looking at some of the teams that are the ones to watch, the danger teams, the dark horses, whatever. So I'll probably discuss Benfica then. Regardless of tactics, that front line will be able to win games from nothing, even when we're not great, which excites me. Exactly. Game breakers. Players that things might be going against you. You know, tactically, you're a little bit stuck. You can't get out from the back. You're a little bit pinned back. You're struggling to get forward. But they do stuff. They do stuff, these guys. They make stuff happen. They've got that quality. We finally have the balance, so we use both wings and finally have people that can cross a ball. Gets me emotional. Well, Darryl, my friend. Also, good morning. Hope you're well, mate. Thank you for the work recently as well. We've got someone in the middle who can jump. But that's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. We've got a couple of left footers in the team and a man that can jump. What more do you need in life? Nothing, if you ask me. But we do have a threat in the box. I think his movement is pretty good as well in the middle. You know, he's young. He can probably still refine it a little bit, get a little bit better. But I think he's going to be a real option for us. I kept going on kind of like half joking a little bit about Dorgu last season in the Discord server. I was keeping track of how quickly he was catching the rest of our players for the number of crosses that he attempted. I think he ended up about 6th, something like that, despite joining in January. Needs to see more quality, but he's a player that's willing to cross. Brian Mbumo attempted the most crosses in the Premier League last season. Cunha was 15th for crosses into the box in the Premier League last season. Ahmad, his numbers weren't quite as good, obviously sort of a result of having a couple of injury problems here and there. He can cross a lot. I think Bruno Fernandes was 3rd in the league for crosses last season. Expect crosses. We saw Amorim last year encouraging quick balls into the box. Sometimes the cutbacks as well, but a lot of early deliveries. These lot are going to provide that. I think we will see a lot of balls swinging into the box. The important thing to do will be to make sure it's not just Sesko in there. You know, Cunha's got to attack that back post. I think Dorgu, again, is potentially a surprise weapon from that side of the pitch. We spoke the other day about Mbumo drifting in from the right into the half space. That clipped cross where you fade it towards the back post. I want to see Sesko all over that. But Cunha and Dorgu also attacking that back post could be really dangerous. Guys, this man is in the chat with another super chat. I don't even need to say his name because you know who I'm talking about now. Thank you so much, Adele, for the super chat. You're a legend, mate. Thank you very much. Although this 3-2-4-1, let me try again. 3-2-4-1 lineup is scary. City won titles with it. This 3-1-6 in lost possession is also terrifying. It sacked Ten Hag, who I hated anyway. You are as strong as your weakest link in the back. Let me just move this along. Is this the shape you're talking about, my friend? We're in sync. We're working together here, mate. Thank you very much for the super chat. It's a nice segue onto the next point, right? It's a nice segue onto this. This looks exciting to me. This looks really exciting. These three in here, wowzers. Wowzers. And I think what we're going to see, there's a guy on Twitter called Callum. Big fan of the bloke. Does such good work. He's a nice person to talk to as well. He has this concept of, let me make sure I say this right, anchors and floaters. So you've got the people that sort of pin the opposition, and then you've got the people that sort of explore a little bit more in the pitch. There's potential this season for us to do that with the wingbacks. If we're really aggressive with their positioning, if these guys go high and wide and sort of pin the opposition fullbacks in and that back four with Sesko as well, the potential freedom for these guys could be insane. You know, I think there will be moments where they will genuinely all be over the same side and combining in these positions. We saw the other day, and Bumo started in the right 10, but he was over here at one point. And, you know, that's that flexibility we're talking about, given the license to move. However, when you give players freedom, you've got to look after the ball. Because what happens if you all drift over here, you overload this side for an attack, but you're loose in possession, you lose the ball. Wow, Yoro is vulnerable. And that's where we've got to be careful. That's where we've got to be careful. Because we've seen in pre-season, it's been very, very exciting. The football's been fast-paced. It's been electric at times, to tell the truth. Particularly against Bournemouth and West Ham. West Ham, I think. It was really exciting to watch. Really, really fun. But even in those good performances, we were losing the ball quite a lot. We are still quite loose with it. We know we get that because it comes down to player instincts, right? We know that Bruno Fernandes is a player that loses possession. We know that Casemiro is a player that loses possession. And Mbeumo and Cunha, they're aggressive players that want to keep moving the ball forward. So we've got to be careful. But we've got to be careful. Perhaps, again, that's where we're talking about a Baleba in here. You know, someone who's going to get the ball, get a foot on the ball and look after it for us. I don't know. But it's something for us to consider. We got another super chat from Jens. Thank you very much. Found your channel through people nicking your analysis on X. That was fun. That was literally this time last week. What a morning that was, mate. Now can't get enough of the videos. Keep it up. Well, thank you very much. And thank you actually for the support. Kind of changing that negative from last week with the content being stolen to a positive this week. So yeah, thank you very much for the support. And welcome to the community. I think, did I just see in chat that we've got about 550 people in the chat right now? What? That's insane. On a live stream, that is insane. So thank you all very much. And like I said, the community is amazing. I feel like every content creator says this. It's like, oh my God, my community is the best in the world. But like genuinely, I do believe our community is, I can't say best perhaps because I haven't been in every community, but the community is so solid. Like everyone is so chilled out. I think in the football world, there's a lot of toxicity. Everyone has to be right. Everyone has to be right. If you disagree, oh, I hate you. But what we have in this server, in our community, in the Discord server, which is linked at the top of the chat, is the ability to disagree, but do it in like a respectful way. So you might want a certain formation or a certain player, and I can disagree with you, and we can actually have like a respectful conversation about it. That's why I love it so much. It's sort of what keeps me coming back day after day, is the fact that we've got a good community. If the community was bad, I'll be honest, I'd have sacked it off by now. I'd have given up on the channel because it wouldn't have been worth it. But you guys just being good vibes, having these conversations. We also have some, like I said, some proper random conversations where we waffle about the most stupid stuff I've ever seen. It's just kind of chill, isn't it? It's just kind of chill. So it's you guys that make it possible. But like David has said there, a way that you guys could be an even better community is if you left a like and subscribe. I'm just saying. Don't shoot the messenger. That was David that said that. That was David, not me. Just saying. But I agree. What if we sell Bruno for 100 million and then get Baleba? What if we have Bruno and Baleba? Oh. Oh, that'd be nice. At the Bournemouth match in Chicago. Oh, good game to go to. Keep up the good work, man. Thank you very much. Because you're so chilled out. Yeah, I don't get stressed, to be honest. It takes a lot to annoy me too much, to be honest. Just a chill guy, you know. Just kind of a chill guy. Yeah, I'm a Garte. I do what I do. Adele is also in the chat becoming a membership. He is now a channel goat. Thank you so much for your support on this stream, mate. And I know you've been in a lot of streams recently as well. Thank you again so much. Guys, get some love hearts in the chat for that, man, because the boy is on form this stream. So thank you very much. If you joined a Discord server, my friend, now you are a member. If you link your Discord to your YouTube, it should put you in a certain like private channel on Discord where this year I'm planning on doing a load of content which only members will see, but it's on the Discord server. So some of it might be video format, some of it might be written analysis, pictures and annotations like that. So yeah, if you do want to become a channel member, you know, try it. You get extra content, and you only have to become a member once. You don't even have to renew it. If you just pay once, you're good. I'll let you have the content forever. So yeah, if you do want to do that, feel free. But you don't have to. You don't have to. You are on Discord. Okay, so if your accounts are linked, it will automatically put you in. If not, I'll sort it for you tonight. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, let's head back to Manchester United. Respectful football conversation, the opposite of social media interactions. Then, yeah, true, so true. Twitter's an interesting place at times, right? As we've seen in the past week. Anyway, Manchester United. What were we talking about before the bombardment of love in the chat? What were we talking about? I can't even remember. We were talking about the fluidity of that front four. Hay fever is starting to kick in, by the way. So a sneeze is inevitable. The fluidity of the midfield four. How do you guys feel we keep the energy, keep the aggression, keep the attacking threat, the danger, which we've loved watching, but also combine it with an element of caution and safety a little bit? Because we can't be losing the ball in dangerous positions as much as we have in pre-season. You know, if we're playing this system, there's got to be moments where you're a bit more solid. If we're committing so many players forward, and 6 players forward on the front lines is a lot of players. It's a lot of players. We're all very aware of the gaps it leaves in transition. That's inevitably going to happen sometimes. Sometimes in a match, we'll lose the ball, be caught out. Happens to every team in the world. I don't think it's too important to focus on those specific screenshots. But we do know that, generally speaking, we don't look after the ball well enough. Amorim has said that. We need to look after the ball better. I think his comment was along the lines of, every time we get the ball, it feels like an attacking play, which is sort of what I've said. Every time we get the ball, it feels like we've got to score right now, which is really fun. It's really fun. But I don't think it's sustainable. I do think there have to be moments where we manage it a bit more, where we look after it. How do we do that? How do we do that? How do we get that blend of, cool, Cunha's in a dangerous position, Bruno's high and Bumo's high, Ahmad and Dorgu wide, Sesko in the middle. Great fun. We're seeing the wide centre-backs being aggressive in pre-season. But just look at the gaps we're creating. Yoro's behind my mic. Where is he? There he is. If we're getting these guys to be aggressive as well, we're leaving some serious spaces for the opposition to move into. How do we counter that? What do you guys think is the blend? And that's not a rhetorical question. I'd genuinely like to hear your help in the chat. What do you think? We have far more athleticism now and can play a high line and a higher tempo. I do agree. Again, naturally, recruitment would help. Baleba in the middle. Do I have Baleba on him? I do. That's a little bit cheeky from me. Baleba in the middle here helps because he can cover the ground better. He probably looks after the ball better. Naturally a solution. But how do we find that blend? Because so much of it is player instinct. I don't think, as much as you can coach Bruno Fernandes, you can get him to play a different style, he's always going to be an attacking player. He's always going to be an attacking player. We can teach him to slow it down, of course. We've seen him often communicating in pre-season, telling other people to slow it down. But he is also always going to be someone that likes to move it. How do we combat that? What's the solution to this? Love the content. Been here since the Ten Hag videos. Who are your shout-outs for the wing-back reinforcements next season, AJ? Well, first of all, thank you very much, Matthew, for the kind words. I don't actually know, to be honest. I haven't really looked into wing-backs. I was saying this to my brother the other day, though. I think that will be the conversation next summer. If we get Baleba this year, I think next year we're going to be looking at a centre-back, probably in the middle. And we're going to be looking at wing-backs and maybe another midfielder, depending on Casemiro and Ugarte at that point. But I think there will be the conversations next year. I don't feel in the place to talk about wing-backs right now, though. Bruno is going to Bruno. Yeah, exactly. That's probably the best way to word it. We need to have his holding midfielder and the wide centre-back stepping up and helping out on the front foot. Do we also think... I think the middle centre-back profile is really important. And what I'm interested to hear from you guys is, does this middle centre-back need to be aggressive, like the wide ones, Or does he actually now need to be the one that is a bit more cautious? You know, kind of like typically, I think the way we previously spoke about it with centre backs across the world is you normally have the aggressive one and you have the one that covers. So the one that jumps forward and presses, and the one that covers behind him. Do we think we need that covering one here? Because, you know, if Lisandro Martinez or Shaw or Heaven, whoever, is being aggressive here, if they're all doing it, it's a problem. But you also can't have one just holding too deep. It's an interesting conversation. And again, I think one we'll be having next summer. I think next summer we'll be talking about a sweeper here rather than a front-footed player. I might be wrong. Who knows? It depends on the setup we use. But we need to consider it. I think Newcastle would go for Baleba after failing to get Sesko. Well, hopefully, because then we'll get him. Cautious and a ball player. The central centre-back needs agility to take hold of a 9, keep a high line and deal with turning if need be. And that's what I mean. It's a difficult job, isn't it? It's a difficult job. There's a clip on Twitter. I can't think who posted it, but it's from a few weeks ago. And it's the number of micro decisions that a centre-back in particular has to make in the space of 6 seconds. You know, we are all so critical of centre-back here making a bad decision and it costing us. But the amount of decisions they have to make are ridiculous because they'll be looking at the player on the ball, trying to play the pass. They'll be looking at the line being in line with their centre-backs. They'll be looking at players making a run. There might be a player in front of them making a run. Let's get Fulham back on here. There might be a player in front of them making a run. They've got to look at him. They've got to look at a player potentially running past him. You've got to think, how quick are these guys? That's a decision. You know, if I'm the centre-back, I look up and I see Harry Maguire's running through. I think I can hold the line, and if he beats me, if he gets in behind, I'll recover. But suddenly it's Jamie Vardy. It's a bit more of a game. If I hold the line and get it wrong, I'm not catching him again. There's so many decisions that these guys have got to make. So many, all in like milliseconds. It's really difficult. Like, I would not want to be a professional centre-back. I'll tell you that for free. I will tell you that for free. Steve in the chat with the super chat. Steve Brooks, thank you very much, my friend, with the £10 donation. That's really kind of you. No one is talking about Mount. If he can stay fit, he is a game changer. To get him in the side, he could take Ugarte's minutes. He is a total menace in midfield. I think he's been really impressive. In pre-season. And I think he was impressive towards the end of last season as well. He finally seems to have sort of started to find himself at United. I think the challenge still for him is you've got to stay fit for the next 3 months. He can't afford a knock right now. There's too much quality. If we're talking about the left-hand positions, there's too much quality in this team. We've got too many good players. If we go over here and get the other team out of the way, there's too much quality in this position here. Bruno can go play there. Cobb can go play there. Mount can't afford an injury. He cannot afford an injury. He's got to stay fit now. If he stays fit, there's an argument for him starting against Arsenal. There genuinely is. Because, you know, Arsenal, one of the better teams in the league, good on the ball and all that stuff. Mount's defensive work alone could be very useful. Controversial opinion, I think Mount has outperformed Cunha slightly in pre-season. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that one. I think he maybe has. Am I off my head saying that? Obviously, Cunha's at a new club, so it's going to take him a little bit of time. But I think Mount's actually outperformed him a little bit. Will he mount a career comeback? Hey, I see what you did there. You're banned. Did I see Ali back in the chat? I did, with a $20 donation, which is insane. You guys are so kind. You guys are so kind. Thank you very much, Ali. Heading out to work, AJ. It was so good catching up with you all. What community. Can we appreciate that, by the way? Alias, I'm sure you said in your first super chat that it was 3:30 a.m. That man is up early, tuning in, talking about United, then heading off to work. Priorities. United, then work. I like it. But thank you very much for the super chat. We'll make sure to join the next stream. Well, I'll see you on Tuesday then, my friend. Also, shout out to Adele, the new Egyptian king, for his generosity. The good days are here. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you very much for the support. And it's been great to have you back, actually, mate. Good to talk to you. I want to finish on that last point you said there. The good days are here. Look how positive we are as a fan base right now. Right, we're really positive, really really positive. All we've done really is in the past 7 days we had a disappointing performance against Everton, and we've signed a striker, and just had our name mentioned with a midfielder. Imagine when we are actually good. Like, imagine the feeling we are going to have the day that we are a good football club. The day that we win regular matches, that we challenge for the title, that we've got players in that Ballon d'Or conversation. We're going to be unbearable, aren't we? We really, really are. You know, this channel hasn't existed in a time when United have been good. It hasn't. I cannot wait for the day that we sit here 4 weeks on the bounce talking about another dominant, impressive 2-3-0 win. This player shining and hurting teams. This signing settling in super fast and just playing amazingly. I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait for it. You lot deserve it. You lot deserve that. When am I next streaming? My next stream will be on Tuesday. Tuesday? Yes, Tuesday. And it will be a prediction stream. But what I want to do with that prediction stream is some sort of like a bit of a hot take stream as well. So the sort of the run of the mill predictions, where we finish in the league, who's going to be the top goal scorer, blah 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 blah. But I want to hear some rogue takes. So start thinking of them. If you want, put them in the Discord server, and when we stream, I'll pop them up on the screen for you guys. I want to hear some different opinions. You know, do you actually kind of think United might finish second? I feel like that would be a fairly hot take. You could put that in there. Have you got Mount? Who was it the other day who said Mount for player of the year this season? Those sort of things. If you've got some hot takes, some opinions that maybe not everyone has, then have them ready for Tuesday, or go put them in the Discord server, and I'll make sure to screenshot them all. All right, Manny, I've left you long enough. I'll answer your question. Do I think Mount can play in the double pivot? Yeah. Obviously, not with Kobe or Bruno. It would be instead of. But I think he could. Again, I don't think he'll break into the team and kind of make that his position. I don't think he'll become the starter there. I don't see that happening. But I think over the course of the season, he certainly could. Probably more likely if we were in Europe, just because more matches. I think he can play there. I think he can play there. If someone was to get a knock, hopefully they don't, but you know, if a Bruno or a Kobe was to get a knock, I don't see why he can't become next in line. The only thing that would make me question it is the fact that he leads the press so well. How is he when he's behind the press? That would be my question. You know, when he presses in the front two, when we go to that 4-4-2, or in the 3-4-3, I think he presses so effectively. Do you lose too much by dropping him deep? That would be my only question. But obviously, in there, he still has the energy, the ability to cover ground and get stuck in. So, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I'd like to see some hipster starting 11s as well. Have you got any players in some weird starting positions? I'd love to see that. Remember spanking Villa? That was a lovely afternoon. We are so desperate just for happiness, aren't we? We're so desperate for that. I think we shouldn't sell Rasmus. Have I got Rasmus here somewhere? I think I've got him in the bin at the moment. Oh no, he's literally there, isn't he? I don't know what's going to happen there. Do we need to sell him for financial reasons? I don't know. I don't know the situation. You know, if you told me we sell Højlund and that funds Baleba, I'd do it. But I still think he's got a lot of potential. I'm not sure about a loan, particularly to Italy, just because we know we can do it in Italy. Does he gain an awful lot from going somewhere where he's already done it? Confidence he does get. You know, if he goes away and gets confidence playing for a Milan, brilliant. I still think that's his biggest problem. Would it maybe though be nice to see him in a different league that he hasn't played before to teach him a different side of the game? Possibly. I don't know. I think there's a good player there. I still do. I will stand by that. I think the profile's really good. And if he sort of learns how to use himself, use his own body, and use what he's got, I think he'll be a very good player. Oh, is that going to be at United? I'm not sure. Is he going to have the time here? Is he going to be given the opportunity here? The patience here? I'm a little bit dubious, and I think he might go this summer. I'm not sure whether that's permanent or loan. Do you think Sesko will thrive in the Premier League? I think he could. I think he really could, because Big space player. Loves playing in big open spaces, and the Premier League provides that. Teams these days want to play football. They want to play football. They want to get on the ball and play. In transition, that opens up the ability for Sesko to be an absolute menace. We said the other day about Cunha's ability. Let's just move this back one. We spoke the other day about Cunha's ability to sometimes drop deeper towards the ball into these positions, and Sesko to then go the other way. That could be so dangerous. Let's move these players up a little bit for the team in white, your position. Let's say you're the right back. Dorgu starts a little bit deeper, and sort of Cunha is your man. As Cunha comes in there, and Sesko then spins with Mbeumo attacking that space, those are the moments where we could be amazing. Those are the moments where we could be really dangerous. Also in the box, his height, his ability to jump, his heading is strong. I think he'll be good there. I think he's going to be a weapon from long balls as well. I think he's just better in the air, better at using his body than what Rasmus was. I think he's an improvement. I think he's already an upgrade on Højlund. Obviously, got areas to work as well, though. He's quite a young, raw player still. But we are getting ourselves a good footballer. There's no doubt about that. Did I see another super chat? I believe I did. From VK, thank you very much, my friend. It's good to see you. How you been, mate? Hope you're good, AJ. Not bad, not bad. We need to discuss how Ruben utilises the 5 subs to sustain or change our dynamics. I'm sure he will take advantage of squad depth. First of all, thank you very much for the super chat. And yeah, I think you're spot on, to be fair. I think you're spot on. Our subs can be a weapon. Our squad should be fresh. Our squad should have energy. Physically, we should be the best team in the league this year, really. Or in the top 8, right? Because the rest are playing Europe. And again, I think in terms of the squad depth, we've got some serious players to bring on. If we're talking about we're bringing on Mason Mount's a Champions League winner. The bloke's a Champions League winner. Like, that's quality to be bringing on. Ahmad, we don't know about his start position. Let's say Dallo started the match. Ahmad from the bench is lethal. Kobbie Mainoo from the bench. There's some serious talent there. Some serious talent. I think there's also an interesting conversation about, like, if we played in a 4-3-3, the squad depth would be immense, apart from midfield. But perhaps a conversation for another day. Adele with another super chat. What a man. Thank you so much. A thing I really want to tell Amorim is that he should work on his body language. He sometimes looks too frustrated. He doesn't have this winner body language like Sir Alex or Pep and the likes. I think non-verbal communication is so important in football. So important in football. And yeah, he does kind of have those moments where he makes it clear he's not impressed, right? He has those moments where Højlund will miss a chance, for example, and you know that Ruben's annoyed about it. He's not nonchalant, is he, on the sidelines? He wears his heart on his sleeve. You do see his emotions, which I think is nice to see as a fan. But yeah, for the players, maybe not so much. Although, is that his way of sort of bringing intensity to the game as well? I don't know, it's an interesting talking point. Sesko landed 2 hours ago. Medical soon then. I thought he landed last night, didn't he? Maybe I'm off my head. My must-attend match of the season is Newcastle away. The chants are going to be hilarious. I'm telling you, they just need to target Blaber and we're good. Morning, AJ. I'm currently on my way to Manchester. I'm going to the game tomorrow. Hope you're well. I am very well, thank you very much. I hope you are as well, my friend. And enjoy the game. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. The pre-season game at Old Trafford before the season starts. Sunny afternoon. If we play remotely well, it's just good vibes. Like, it's a good energy. Hopefully it's a good one for you, mate. Is Casemiro being moved on? I don't know. We should look at it. We should consider doing it. If we sign Baleba, we can't afford to be paying Casemiro, whatever he's on, to sit on the bench every week. We can't afford to. We probably can't afford to do it already. We probably can't afford to do it anyway. But particularly if we were to sign another midfielder, which it feels like we will do. Not sure. His plane landed last night. I was one of the 12,000 people watching his plane reach the hangar. I love that. Football fans are weird, aren't we? We're watching a bloke's flight to figure out where he's going to be in Manchester. It changes nothing. He's going to have his medical whenever he had his medical, but I love it. I remember like back in the day, you'd sit there. Was it the gossip column on BBC Sport? Was it gossip column? Something like that is what it's called. Like the amount of time I would spend reading through that, sitting at college on the PC and just refreshing the gossip column to see what's going on. The BBC transfer page. Good times, good times. Body language is a very interesting point. I said I do think non-verbal communication is big in football. Probably not spoken about enough. Probably because a lot of us aren't educated enough, probably to speak about it, myself included. But yeah, it's an interesting point. I do sometimes think that because it's happened in pre-season. I can't think who it was. I think it was actually Hoyland. I think it was actually Hoyland who he missed a chance. I can't recall if it was Everton or the game before. And Amarim's response was quite an annoyed one. And I thought that was a little bit weird. Like in the moment, I thought, oh, that's a bit, it's only a friendly, mate. I get setting the standard, you got to win every game. That's the level at United. But just in the moment, I did think, as a player that struggles with confidence, do we need to get mad at him in a friendly? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too soft about that. But yeah, it is a good point because, yeah, it's something that I noticed as well. And it did cross my mind. The BBC gossip column was elite. Tell me about it. Or you'd get it on your TV and you'd press the red button to read it. Good times. We are all kids, some young, some old. Facts. It was Ugarte when he lost the ball. Yeah, that happened as well. But there was a shot we had that we missed where it happened. I think it was Hoyland, but I might be wrong. Do we still need to sell players to get money? Yes, but I don't think we have to sell players to buy. If you know what I mean. Like, I don't think we have to sell 100 players before we go sign someone. But I think if we want to Belabor, we'd probably have to have an outgoing first because he seems very expensive. Or not even first. We need to sell players this summer. We are spending a lot of money. Whether the sales are before or after our signings, we need to sell some people because we've got a stupid amount of players at the club. And we could probably do with the cash injection as well. So, yeah. Dude, I'm so old. I remember when you had to wait for the Match magazine for the news. I used to get the Match of the Day magazine every Tuesday morning. My mum would go to like the local co-op or something. Get me the Match of the Day magazine. That was the life. You'd get your match tax in the front. Good times. That's where I got my transfer news. Take me back. I watched a few Sesko clips and I can say his link-up is his most underrated skill. His one-touches with Simmons and Openda are pure magic. Yeah, I don't know if you've watched my video on it. Which one was it? We've done 3 Sesko videos. Which one was it? Not the one yesterday. The one before. I think it was why Sesko to United makes sense. I think that was the title, something like that. What was it? No, it was the one before. It was the one before. It was the first Sesko video. Some of his one-touch stuff is really good. I have more concerns when he takes more touches because he sort of like gets stuck under his feet a little bit at times. But I think some of his one-touch layoff is beautiful. I think it's really good. And with what we've seen from United in pre-season, it makes sense as to why we'd want him. So, yeah. Neil says teletext. Yes, yep. I was there for the teletext days. Don't you worry. I was there for the teletext days. That's the first thing I used to do in the morning in the transfer window before school. I'd get teletext up. But sometimes I hadn't updated from the night before yet. Heartbreak. Mate. You're back again with another super chat. Amazing. Thank you so much. Who here is old enough to remember the United magazine? I used to wait for them for a couple of weeks after release till it arrives in Egypt. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird how like our access to football has changed. My hay fever is kicking my backside. Like my nose is just tickling inside. Sorry. Don't know why I felt the need to say that. It's weird how our access to football is like greater than ever. Like when I was little, the only access to football I had was magazines and a Match of a Day. I was too young to stay up to watch it on a Saturday, so I'd watch it on a Sunday morning, and I'd read a magazine. That was my football coverage with a little bit of teletext and the gossip column. It's weird now. Literally, like that, we can go on the internet like this and talk about it non-stop. It's non-stop. Like there is constant access to football. It's a weird world. I had to hope that some kid at school bought in a Match of the Day magazine with him. Else I was cut off from the Premier League. Match of the Day was good. I used to love that magazine. Little quizzes in the back as well. And I'm sure in the back of the Match of the Day magazines, you used to be able to buy ringtones for your phone as well. What weird world. What What a weird time. Anyway, why are we talking about that? How have we got here? A little nostalgia trip. United. Apparently they're relevant all of a sudden, which is kind of cool. We're always relevant, aren't we? We just are. Anyway, is there anything else that you guys want to discuss today regarding Manchester United? And we'll stay away from the gossip column for now. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about in terms of actually how good our squad is, where we're going to be strong next season, what we still need, which is still a midfielder, Labour? What do we think beyond that? How are we feeling about the team? I think we're in a good place. Really excited for the game tomorrow. Of course, I'll be doing a video on that. Obviously, when don't I? The next stream will be Tuesday. It will be the same time of day again, 11 a.m. UK time, Tuesday. Predictions. That's how close we are now to the start of the new season. I was thinking in my head, maybe we can do like another how United should set up or look at transitions, which we've spoken about. And I was like, wait, the season starts next week. Like next Tuesday will be predictions, rogue predictions, hot takes, whatever. Friday, so a week today, we will sit here and we will do our tactical preview for the first game of the season. We will sit here, we'll have the Arsenal team on the screen. We'll discuss tactically where we can hurt Arsenal and who should start for United and what subs we can make during the game to make an impact. Like, that's insane. That's insane. Like, it's so close now. I'm very excited for this season. Not just United. I'm a football nerd. I'm obsessed with the sport. It's probably a problem. I'm so excited to watch every team. Of course, I want all the other big teams to do badly, but I also like just watching good football. I don't know why. It's just how I am. I cannot wait for the new Premier League season. Can we discuss the O'Shea chip of Arsenal, please? John O'Shea, what a player. What a boy. What a boy. How strong do you think our team would be without key players due to injury? Depends who you class as the key players. I guess you're talking Yoro, at which point I think we're a little bit weak in the back line, although Masraoui can do a job when he's fit, and actually a very good job. A Bruno injury still feels like something that hurts us, but perhaps not as much as in the past. I do feel that we've got some other players now that can kind of carry some of the attacking burden, which is good. You know, I think it's good to have that. I think we've got a good squad. I do. I think we're close. I think we're close to having a good team here. We need, next summer we will need more. But I think after next summer, we should be in some serious conversations about the top of the table. If things go right, next summer we should be talking about, okay, now how do we build this squad to have a serious talk about the top two? That's where we should be this time next year. And that sort of hints at where I think we are right now, which is a positive, absolutely. We can't go into the season having spent 200 million on goals and not deal with the leaks at the back. I think a lot of that comes down to the midfield more than the back line itself. But yeah, that seems to have been the approach so far this summer. We didn't score last season. Here's 500 goals worth of output. Wait, how do we actually get the ball to them? But Labour, maybe. I don't know. VK with another super chat. Thank you very much. A squad wins you titles. We need 3 strikers. So one of Chidobe, Xerxes, or Rasmus might be sold. Xerxes more likely, as can't keep fit in my opinion. The Xerxes one is interesting, right? I think if I said right now, if I sat here and told you guys we should sell Xerxes, I think people would go mental because he's become a bit of a fan favourite, and I love him as well, and was happy with the signing last year. In terms of what we think Amorim likes from his strikers, Højlund is closer. Højlund is closer to it. Closer than what Xerxes is. Xerxes feels more like a 10, but surely he can't be a 10 this season because we've got about 700 of them. It's a tricky one. I can feel, by the way, hay fever is just about to close in on me and take me. Rest in peace. Oh, but thank you very much for the super chat. I don't feel a Bruno injury hurts us. I still think it hurts us, but I think we would be more in a place to deal with it. But hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully a season, that would be lovely. That would be lovely. Every time we see a team sort of perform surprisingly well, you check their injury record, and they've had 2 injuries all season. I would love us to have one of those years where the squad just feels like it keeps fit. That would be really nice. That would be really nice. Like, just keep the squad fit this year. Depth in it, pretty much. The Xerxes one, I'm a little bit unsure of. Because I don't know. I feel like he's third or fourth choice on the left. I just feel like Højlund is a more sensible backup to Sesko, but Højlund's probably the one to go. I think Xerxes will stay, and yeah, will be depth up front. But I think it's just interesting how it works. I like Xerxes, by the way. Let me keep saying that. I like Xerxes. I like Højlund as well. I think they've both got a lot of potential. Bro, I love the content. Thank you very much. But I can't wait to see the back of Amorim. I don't like the starting position of the players. It's not their natural instinct plus the system. Yeah, I think it's a fair one. I think it's a fair comment. We need to see growth this season. Of course we do. Tactically, we have to improve. The system has to become better. I think what it is more than anything is it needs to feel smoother up the pitch. It can be in the 3-4-3, but it's got to be smoother from sort of section to section, from phase to phase. It needs to feel more like a smooth transition rather than like this jittery, clunky changing of phase. I think that's what it is more than anything. And yeah, the starting positions certainly affect that. I think Amorim's got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of pressure on him. You spend that amount of money, you've got to be good, especially after finishing 15th last year. So he's definitely under pressure. Hopefully he performs, right? Hopefully we don't need to talk about Amorim because hopefully we're sitting third in November. That's the ideal situation for us. That's the ideal situation. Anyway, I believe Buster is now trying to break in. I just heard him. Loki was barking a second ago. Buster's now trying to break in the door. So I'm going to go say hi to the doggos, which means we're going to be wrapping up the stream there. And I've got to say to you guys today, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The support today has been phenomenal. From the amount of viewers, I don't know how many likes we've got today. Maybe Chad could let me know. But thank you to everyone that's liked. Thank you to everyone who's been waffling away in the chat. We've had a really good chat today. Thank you for the super chats. They've been mental. We had gifted memberships in there. We had people becoming members for the first time. Shout out you guys. Shout out you guys. Like I said, it's that level of support which keeps the channel going. You know, I absolutely love this channel. I love the community. But at the end of the day, I can only keep doing it if, like, I physically can financially sustain living a life. So support like that really does go a long way. As do the likes, as do the subscriptions. It helps push the stream, the channel, to more people. So, yeah, shout out you guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, 250 likes. That's not bad. Considering I never really begged the likes properly in this stream, that's not bad. That's not bad. And we'll leave with a message from VK, which is be kind always. That's a lovely place to leave it. Manchester United play tomorrow. I will not have a video out today, simply because I feel like any video today is done for the sake of it. The conversations right now are Sesko, Baleba, match tomorrow. Well, we've covered Sesko, we've covered Baleba, we've got to wait for the match. So I think any content today would be forced unless something comes out in terms of transfer news. So there's not going to be a video today. I'm going to work on some second channel videos this afternoon because I've got 6 videos lined up for next week, which is quite ambitious, but we'll see how that goes. The next stream, my friend, will be on Tuesday. I'm going to try and continue with the Tuesday and Friday schedule for as long as possible. If something happens with Baleba and I don't have a video ready, I'd probably go live. If it was like a time of day that would suit me. So if something happens with Baleba, I'll probably see you guys again back here. But for today, that feels unlikely. So yeah, I think that's all we really need to talk about. Like I said, thank you very much. You guys have been absolute legends. Before you leave, if you could please leave a like, it does help. If you could subscribe, that'd be amazing, especially if you get notifications on. Also, check out the Discord server. Linked in the chat, completely free to join. Just good fun chatting about football. And I just launched the FPL League over there this morning, and I will also be sharing a link on the channel this afternoon. So if you are interested in FPL and want to compete against me, plus the Muppets in the chat like Chad, then, sorry Chad, that's uncalled for. Then you can use the link, and yeah, I'll see you there as well. But apart from that, we are finished. I'm finally going to stop yapping, and I will see you guys in the next, where's the off button? Here it is,